story, allegedly. It's a great, great movie as well. Sleepers affected me a great deal. All right. Because it did something to me. It had an action to it. It did something, not just to me, but did anything. It's an action. So it's not an E, it's an A. It affected me. Now, if I want to talk about the effect it had on me, all right, notice I stressed the E. I could also say sleepers had great effect on me. Okay. Effect is a noun 99% of the time. So that's why it starts with an E here. Sleepers had a great effect on me. The verb is to have. All right. What did it have? Did it have dinner? Did it, have to get somewhere on time? No, it had a great effect. It owned this noun, okay, on me. It affected me, right? Up here, affected me is what it did. So that's the verb. Now, there are occasions where you will use affect as a noun, and it's actually pronounced affect when it's a noun, and it refers to someone's countenance or their face, their demeanor, when you are judging how they're behaving. So sometimes, like in court, witnesses will have, they won't have their face affect won't match the emotion they're saying or their remorse they should be showing when they are on the stand. Right? His affect was concerning because he didn't seem remorseful for his actions. Affect refers to a noun in that case, and it's actually pronounced differently. And that's a word that's not used often. You probably won't use it much in journalism. Effect can also be a verb. It's usually a noun. There are rare occasions when effect is a verb. If you're referring to it in terms of cause and effect, look at my screen, right? I'm referring to the fact that something actually affected something else to happen. So if I were to say, I'm referring to 9/11 and I'm writing a story about that, I could say the fall of the buildings affected the deaths of thousands. Well, you can't affect with an A the death, really. It's just the death happened. People died, either die or they don't. But I'm referring to what caused the death. So effected here is a synonym for caused. The fall of the buildings caused the deaths of thousands. So effected is a verb here because it's really a synonym for caused. I don't suggest using it that way, but that's technically grammatically correct. Where you're going to get in trouble is trying to think of that while you're torn between whether you should use affect or effect. Just go with affect as action and effect as a noun, and you're going to be safe 99% of the time. But I wanted to give you the rare instances in which effect could be a verb and affect could be a noun, but not often. Questions on affect versus effect? They're still both pronounced as effect, by the way. You would just say effect, and that's what confuses people because it's pronounced the same thing. All right. Only one that's not is when you say affect. You're talking about the noun, describing someone's face. All right, farther versus further. Farther represents actual distance. Notice there's an A in farther. All right, so think of that as actual distance. And further represents an understood or metaphorical distance. Something that's unmeasurable. Notice understood starts with the U and further has a U in it. So if I were to say, James Conner carried the ball farther down the field, I can measure that in terms of yards in football, so I would say farther. If I say he lived farther down the street than I live, that would be actual distance I can measure with inches, feet, meters, miles, whatever. Further is an understood distance that you can't really see. You can't measure it, right? So if I were to say, he really furthered the team's cohesion and camaraderie. Okay, there it is. Okay. He really furthered the team's. What is camaraderie with? What's this? Huh. Anyway, learned something today. He really furthered the team's cohesion and camaraderie. So you can't really measure cohesion. You can't measure camaraderie, right? So it's an understood or metaphorical distance the team grew, right, in terms of its cohesion and camaraderie. But it's an understood metaphorical distance. So it gets a U. That's a good way to remember it. But again, with farther, I'm talking about actual measurable distance, right? So you could say that the team fell farther in the standings because I can actually see that, right? I can see the standings, like for sports, like I can see you're in second, now you're in fifth. I can measure that, right? A little bit easier to understand if I would just say, the offense went farther down the field. It's measurable. Questions on that? Good. Last one for today for this, and then we'll practice some writing, which we'll also do Thursday, don't worry. Apostrophes. Okay. When we're talking about its versus its, I went over this already. Its is the possessive, okay? It is what you would use as a contraction, it apostrophe s. So it apostrophe s means it is. Its is possessive. If I'm going to say Bill's going to World Series, the apostrophe after Bill is taking the place of a space in the letter I. It means the same as Bill is going to the World Series. So it's possible to have contractions as part of names. But typically when we see apostrophes with names, we're referring to possession, right? And so if I were to say, Michael's topic is a good one. This doesn't mean Michael is topic is a good one. Clearly, that's not what it means.